Welcome back to episode 74 of the Jay Stone Show, exclusively at rockmetaltalk.com. On the phone right now, I have a very special guest. It's Richard Christy from Charred, Walls of the Damned, who is also works for Howard Stern. So I'd like to welcome Richard to the show. How's it going, Rich?
It's going good, man. Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, no problem. So you got Charred, Walls of the Damned, and you just released a brand new CD. So I want to ask you a few questions about the CD and the music industry, pretty much. So
sounds great.
How are things different from your last release in the industry now? Like, what's different about the industry that you noticed? One of the biggest changes.
Well, you know, as the industry goes along, it gets harder and harder to sell CDs. It seems like with the internet and everything, and a lot of people are kind of going digital, and including me. I mean, I buy most of my stuff off iTunes nowadays, so that's a huge change. And and so nowadays you kind of got to offer a little something extra to get people to buy CDs, and that's why for the Charred Walls of the Damned album, we offer a making of DVD that comes with the CD, and it's just something a little extra and a lot of fun. It's like a really funny DVD that comes with the CD, just us kind of goofing off in the studio, and you get to see how the CD was created. And so yeah, now, it's been 5.5 years since I played on an album that was released, so quite a bit has changed, but the scene is still going strong, luckily, and I'm glad to be back.
Yeah, so I mean, how does it feel to finally have the album out? I know you wrote pretty much everything on your own before you went to the studio and recorded it. How does it feel to finally have it out there?
Oh, it feels awesome. I mean, every day now I'm checking my emails, and fans are writing me and saying how much they love the album. And even yesterday I got an email from a guy in Tampa who said the song Blood on Wood, which is the lyrics kind of deal with my love for drumming, and the lyrics were inspired by a day when I was practicing drums recently, and I popped a blister on my finger, and I looked down and my drumsticks are covered in blood. And then that's when I realized how much drumming means to me. And I wrote I guess you could say, a love song to drumming, the song Blood on Wood. And a fan emailed me yesterday and said that's the lyrics, and that song really inspired them to start drumming again. And this guy said he went out and bought a drum kit the same day, and that was like so cool. I was so just honored to hear that. And so now for people to be able to hear the music and to hear stories like that from the fans, it's really inspiring, and I'm psyched, because when you make an album, you have about at least a 4 or 5 month gap between the time that you finish it and the time that it's released.
Right.
And in that time, you're just so excited for people to hear it, but you can't really play anything for anybody. So I've heard the album thousands of times, and now I'm psyched that the fans are able to hear it.
Right. You're probably ready to make the second one.
Actually, yeah, you know what's funny is, like 10 minutes before I called you up, I finished the 6th song for the next album, and I'm so psyched. I got so inspired by doing this album that I already have half of the next album written, and actually probably a little bit over half of it written. So yeah, I'm ready to go back in the studio as soon as possible, probably before the end of this year, and do the next album, because I just had so much fun doing this last album, and I'm so inspired by what everybody's saying and by all the reviews on the internet that I can't wait to do the next one. The next one's going to be even better. The songs that I've written so far are just sounding incredible. The last one that I just finished was one that I wrote around the drums, and it's just some crazy stuff, but really, really technical, but really catchy at the same time. And so, yeah, I'm psyched to keep going with this.
Do you think that you'll have the same members record the second album as well?
Oh, absolutely,
Cool.
Yeah. I mean, this is a permanent band, and I consider this a band, and this is something that I want to keep going, and I definitely want to keep going with these guys. They did such an amazing job on this album, and we had so much fun working together, and it went so smooth just because we've known each other forever. There's really no stress, and everybody was real laid back. That I want to keep this crew going. Keep this same band together. Definitely.
Cool. So initially, what made you start writing music again? I know you were working for Howard Stern and all that. What sparked it back in your life again?
Well, just the fact that I love playing guitar, and I've been playing guitar a lot more since I moved to New York City, and even I play drums every day, but I also love writing music on the drums as far as weird drum beats, and then I love bringing those back to my apartment. The drum beats that I play at the rehearsal studio, I'll record them, and then I'll bring them back to my apartment and write guitar riffs over them, and it's basically just a love of writing music and creating music. I just get so much joy out of it that I've been doing it for the last several years just for fun. And then after I had written several songs and realized that I pretty much had enough material for a whole album, that's when I thought, wow, these songs are really amazing. I should go in the studio and record them and put a band together. And I was real excited to do that. I go to shows all the time here in New York, and I definitely get inspired by watching other bands and seeing friends of mine play live, and it makes me want to get back up on stage. So I've even had friends that have played Madison Square Garden in the last couple of years here in New York, and I was so proud of them, and I was thinking, well, I should be writing music too. I should be doing this again just because it's something I love, and I make it a point to spend a lot of time each day playing guitar and drums and writing music because it's just something I'm very passionate about.
Yeah, I hear you. I was in a band living up in New York, and I moved down to Florida, and I kind of left it alone for a couple of years, so I know the feeling. I started going out, I started my show, I started seeing all the bands live, and I said, man, that's really what I should be doing, and I wound up putting a band back together, and I really can't be happier. I really, I'm excited to record and put a CD out, which is probably be sometime in the summer, but I definitely know that feeling. But I want to ask you.
Yeah, that's great, man. Well, congratulations. Yeah, it's definitely, something you can't really describe, that feeling of wanting to create music. It's just something that's inside certain people, and it's something that's inside of me, and for several years while I lived here in New York, I was still writing and creating music, but I didn't really have an outlet for it. So now that I have this band, I just have this need to kind of create, and it feels great. It's just such a great release to play with a band and write songs and to have this music come out of you. It just feels amazing.
Right. Now, what made you pick the musicians that you did for the CD? All great musicians, besides the fact that you worked with most of them before. Did you have it planned, or was it something that just came about and fell into place?
Well, a lot of it actually was the fact that I had worked with them before, and I knew them, and because one of the most important things to me in a band is that you're friends with the people that you're in a band with. It's the best thing in the world when you get to make music with people that you're great friends with, and that you enjoy each other's company. So these were three other guys that I was really good friends with, and that I love hanging out with, and I think it shows in the music when you're with people that you enjoy hanging out with and that you are happy around. It shows in the music, and yeah, so that was the biggest part, was just that I knew these guys and I knew we had a great chemistry together, and I looked forward to hanging out with them in the studio, and another factor was that I really admire them all as musicians. Like Tim is my favorite singer, and Steve is my favorite bass player, and Jason's my favorite guitar player. So it's just that I really admire these guys, and luckily I both admire them and get along great with them. So it was just all around a very easy choice for me to pick these guys, and everything went smoothly in the studio. That was another thing. At one time or another, I've done studio work with these guys before, and I know they're totally professional, and I knew they'd come in really prepared, and it'd be no stress. So, and it was exactly like I thought. It was just everything went really great in the studio. It only took us 3 weeks to record all the music, and then it worked out great. I'm glad I picked these guys.
Cool, that's awesome. That's awesome. Now, I know initially you played one of the first tracks for Howard on the air, and he mentioned he didn't like the mix, which I didn't feel that the mix was too forward with the drums. But did that bum you out at all, that he didn't initially like the mix?
No, not really. I knew there'd be something, that's kind of the nature of radio. You got to find something interesting to discuss about it, and that was one thing that I guess he noticed that he thought was a little odd, but I think Jason, who mixed it, was a little more bummed out than me. But then again, a lot of people backed up, the fact that the mix, that I think the mix is perfect, and it's just a very drum-heavy song. The particular song that he played, Ghost Town, has some super fast double bass and blast beats, so naturally the drums are going to be a little bit out front. But then again, Howard played the song Hot for Teacher right next to Ghost Town, and the drums are mixed loud in that song too, because it's also a very drum-heavy song, Van Halen's Hot for Teacher. So then I think he kind of realized, that it's a song where the drums are kind of featured, so that's how it's going to be. So, and then again, he was really into the song, which to me was the most important thing. He said he loved the song. So, if that's the only thing that he had to kind of to pick apart, then I'm definitely fine with that.
Right, that's cool. That's cool. And then you mentioned after that you would actually let him be involved in your next recording. Would that really happen if he would come down to the studio?
I really doubt that. I don't think he really cares that much. Yeah. I think he was just joking. I mean, I actually sent some of the demo stuff to Fred Norris before I went in the studio to see what he thought about it, because he's a fellow musician, and he is into that kind of music, and he really liked it. But I think Howard has a lot of other things on his mind and very important things to do that I don't think he's going to really bother with the mixing of my album.
Right. I just figured I'd ask anyway. But
yeah, I mean, that would be awesome if he wanted to come and hang out, but I really don't expect that to happen, and it'd be up to him, but I'm not gonna hold my breath.
So what was your writing and recording process like? Did you do it over the course of time, or did you just bang it out in the studio because you had it already pretty much pre-produced before you went in the studio?
Yeah, well, I recorded the whole album by myself at my studio in my apartment. I wrote and recorded all of 9 songs, wrote all the lyrics, and put some vocal ideas down, and I sent some of the songs to Tim to put vocals on before we went in the studio, just to kind of get an idea of how it would sound with his vocals, with the ideas that I had for the vocals. And then once we went down to Audio Hammer, we had a really good blueprint of what the album was going to sound like, but I knew it would change quite a bit because I wanted Jason and Steve and Tim to put their ideas in once we got to Audio Hammer Studios to do the final recording for the album. And Jason and I did 2 days of pre-production down at Audio Hammer, and Jason is really amazing at songwriting and at producing, and so I kind of let him do his thing with the songs, and he has a really good ear for knowing when, like, maybe a certain riff goes on a little bit too long, or if a part needs to be improved or just lengthened, or just basically kind of fine-tuning the song. So Jason and I went through for 2 days and just fine-tuned the songs and got them where we wanted them, and then we started tracking the music. And for the bass, we told Steve DiGiorgio just to kind of do his thing and go crazy on the bass, and to do his own style, which he did an amazing job. And for the guitar parts, Jason kind of took my riffs and just made them even better because he's a billion times better guitar player than I am.